In the year 1241, the armies of Europe were shaking. Poland had fallen. Hungary was on fire. The knights of Germany were preparing for what they believed would be their last stand. And then, the enemy vanished. Not because they were defeated, not because they ran out of soldiers. They simply turned around and rode back east. The greatest conquering force the world had ever seen, an empire that had swallowed China, Persia, Russia, and Central Asia in less than 40 years, walked away from the gates of Europe. No one has ever fully explained why. This is the story of the Mongol Empire, the largest land empire in human history, and one of the greatest mysteries of the ancient world.
In 1162, on the wind-swept steppes of Mongolia, a boy was born clutching a blood clot in his fist. His name was Temüjin. His father was poisoned by enemies when he was 9 years old. His clan abandoned him. His own tribe stole his wife on their wedding day. He was enslaved, shackled, and left for dead more than once. By every measure of his world, he should have died unknown. But Temüjin had something that no enemy could take: an ability to read people, to inspire loyalty, and to build alliances where others saw only rivals. One by one, he united the fractured Mongol tribes, not just through war, but through something radical for his time: meritocracy. He promoted men based on skill, not birth. He gave captured soldiers a choice: join us or die. Most joined. By 1206, every tribe of the Mongolian steppe had united under one banner. They gave him a new name:
Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. And with 100,000 of the most disciplined cavalry the world had ever seen, he turned his eyes south, toward the civilizations that had always looked down on the nomads of the north. Here is what made the Mongol army different from every other force in history. They were not just fast, they were systematically terrifying. Before attacking a city, the Mongols would send messengers with a simple message: surrender now, your lives will be spared. Your traders will be protected. Resist, and not one stone will remain upon another. Most cities surrendered. The ones that didn't became legends of horror. When the Mongols sacked Baghdad in 1258, the greatest city in the Islamic world, home to the famous House of Wisdom with its 1,000,000 manuscripts, they killed an estimated 200,000 to 800,000 people in a single week. They threw so many books into the Tigris River that the water reportedly ran black with ink. But here is what history books often skip. The Mongols were not mindless destroyers. They were strategic destroyers. Cities that submitted became trading hubs. The Silk Road, under Mongol control, became safer than it had been in centuries. Merchants could travel from China to Persia to Eastern Europe with a single passport, a Mongol-issued tablet called a gariga. They connected the world, and they consumed it at the same time. By 1279, just 73 years after Genghis Khan was crowned, the Mongol Empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the gates of Vienna. 24 million square kilometers, 1/4 of all the land on Earth. Genghis Khan died in 1227. The cause of his death remains unknown to this day. And with him, the first cracks appeared. He had divided his empire among 4 sons. Each ruled a separate khanate. For a generation, they cooperated. But by the 1260s, the Mongol Empire was at war with itself. The sons of Genghis fought each other over land, over religion, over trade routes. And then came something the Mongols had never faced before: the Mamluks. In 1260, at a place called Ain Jalut, the Spring of Goliath, in modern-day Palestine, a Mamluk army met a Mongol force in open battle. For the first time in history, the Mongols lost. Not just the battle, their reputation of invincibility, the psychological weapon that had made entire nations surrender without a fight, was shattered. But the real killer was invisible. In 1346, Mongol forces besieging the city of Kaffa on the Black Sea began dying by the thousands. They catapulted their infected dead over the city walls. The survivors fled by ship to Sicily. They carried the Black Death with them. The plague that would kill 1/3 of Europe's population had traveled the Mongol trade routes from Central Asia to the world. The very roads that had made the empire rich became the veins through which death traveled. By the mid-1300s, the 4 Mongol khanates were collapsing one by one. The Golden Horde in Russia? Gone. The Il Khanate in Persia? Gone. The Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia? Fragmented. The Yuan dynasty in China? Overthrown by a peasant rebellion in 1368. But here is the strangest part of this story. The Mongols didn't disappear. They dissolved. Wherever they ruled, they adopted the religion, language, and culture of the people they had conquered. In Persia, Mongol rulers became Muslim and began writing poetry in Persian. In China, they became Chinese. In Russia, their descendants became Russian nobles. The conquerors were conquered, not by armies, but by civilization itself. And the question that historians still debate today: why did they turn back from Europe in 1241? Some say it was the death of the great Khan Ogedi, which required all leaders to return to Mongolia to elect a successor. Some say the European terrain, forests and castles, was unsuitable for Mongol cavalry. Some say they were simply overextended. No one knows for certain. What we do know is this: at the moment the Mongols could have changed Western history forever, they stopped, turned around, and rode back into the East. And the world they left behind was never the same. The Mongol Empire lasted less than 150 years. In that time, they killed an estimated 40 million people, nearly 10% of the world's population at that time. They destroyed civilizations that had stood for thousands of years. And yet, the world we live in today, the connected, globalized world of trade and ideas, was partly shaped by Mongol roads. The first diplomatic contact between Europe and China happened because Mongol riders carried the letters. The Silk Road reached its peak because Mongol law protected merchants. History is rarely simple. The greatest destroyers in human history were also, in some ways, the greatest connectors. That's the truth behind history. If this video made you think differently about something you thought you already knew, subscribe, because that's what we do here. Every week, the truth behind history.